You know the fastest growing age segment of starting businesses in this country?
Is what? I would never know.
65 and over.
Wow.
65 and over.
Wow.
Isn't that exciting?
That's very exciting.
And here's a whole new lease on life. I've never been more excited about my life than I am at 74 years old. Now, I had this great football career, and people say, well, God, wasn't that great? Yeah, it was great. And it wasn't about the awards. It wasn't about the Super Bowls and the MVPs and the Hall of Fame. You know what it was? I was continuing to grow and get smarter and figure out. Even though my arm wasn't as strong, I wasn't as fast, I was figuring out all the angles. And I was figuring out all the defenses and how to be able to go against any defense, blitzes. And I was figuring stuff out.
So
right to the end.
So that's what you did when you were a quarterback, right?
That was my strength.
So what did you do with that to bring it into the world now? Because you have a couple businesses, don't you?
It's the same thing in business.
Same thing in business.
Same thing. I've started 20 companies, and you never. If you think you've got it figured out, you don't.
Right.
And the fun of it is the challenge of thinking about it and asking questions and trying things. And most of the things I try don't work, but it doesn't stop me. But I know I've got to go push that envelope, right?
Yep.
And it all comes down to the philosophies of my mission as a business person, my mission as a grandfather, as a husband, as a friend, as a human being, is to be transparent, to tell the truth, to help people. And people say, well, you're in business to make money. That's a byproduct of doing these other things.
Right.
If it's a byproduct, you have a passion for it, right?
Right.
If that is your sole thing, I want to be rich just like all those guys, then you'll compromise your principles, won't you? And we see it every day on Wall Street, don't we?
Yeah.
But we see it across the board in the corporate world. We see it in Washington, D.C. You know, give me some money to get elected and I'll do what you want me to do.
Right. Right. So I'm listening to you with two ears. One is I'm in the conversation, and now I'm also at what's called a meta level. I'm listening about what you're talking about in a different way. Can I share with you what I'm thinking about?
I can't wait.
Okay. So I love to figure out why people that I think are amazing geniuses, and you have that genius quality in so many ways. What are you doing differently that enables you to, you're going to live forever? And
I think so.
Yeah, right, exactly. I'll come back and we'll do an interview, and you'll be 200, and if I'm still here,
Right.
But it's a way of thinking that you have, and one of the ways that I just picked out is that you make mistakes. It's not that you don't make them
all the time.
Yeah, right. It's how you handle those mistakes, and there's learning now that's going on about how human beings can strengthen the myelin sheath on the nerve. So all our nerves have something that's around it. It's called the myelin sheath. And there was some studies done to find out by going into universities, music, places where music or hotbeds of music, entrepreneurs, business, and said, let's look at the people that are most successful and see if we can figure out a thought pattern that carries through to all of them, okay? And there's a guy named Dan Coyle who studied this in each one of these areas and found there is a common thread when people are successful. And that is the following. Here's a story he told in the beginning of this book. He said there was a 6-year-old girl who was thought of to be one of the most amazing, potentially great violinists in the world, that they could see her talent. And she would be playing something and sound awful. It's like she was messing it up. And all of a sudden, bingo, she'd stop. You could see her eyes, mind kind of making some configuration inside. And then when she went back to play, it's like a different person emerged. It's like she had pulled it all together. And it was something was going on there. Like she figured it out in some way. There was a strategy that her mind was processing, like you talk about when you were on the right?
Sure.
And boom, 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 boom. And now she got it. She got the next great thought that was going to help her. And it was that pattern of taking those moments where you're experimenting but not getting it.
Yep.
And knowing how to go into those moments, and instead of feeling bad, a lot of us go in and feel bad about, I just messed up again.
Yeah.
Now we're feeling bad about ourselves.
Yeah.
We're off the thing, right? We're off the field in your language, right?
Yeah.
And then, right? But she was an example of what these great thinkers were doing, or people that had resilience, and that's another word to use, resilient. And they'd go back and pick out what they didn't do, what they needed to do next in lickety-split, and then bingo, she was doing it. It's that kind of pattern. that I think is part of
Yeah.
what the meta level of what your mind must be doing
Yeah.
on the field as you were working in split seconds, fractions of seconds, knowing, right, it's not going to work, it's not. So you could almost see 3D what was
Yeah.
going on, I'm guessing, right?
No, you got it.
Right, 3D.
Yeah.
So you could hold, so this part of the brain, again, we go back to that wonderful prefrontal cortex, is a hologram. It has the capacity to hold things three-dimensionally in our heads. So you could take the playing field, bring it into your head, play out things like your movie,
Yep.
right? Movie 1, 2, 3, in such a fast speed that you could then take it into your body and know how to move over here. And this guy was falling down all over the place. Is
Exactly.
that right?
Exactly
You're doing?
right.
Yep.
And I've done so much work in business. I had a job on a paper out in Washington D.C. when I was 7 years old. I worked and love it, and I love figuring it out, even to today. But like many of you, I make mistakes and I do dumb things, and I catch myself and I walk away from. I said, why did I say that?
We all do that. Oh my God,
Why
where did that come from, right?
Where did that come from? But it's all right to acknowledge that was crazy. That was stupid.
Yeah.
Then if you don't acknowledge it, it'll haunt you.
Forever, right?
Yeah. And so I want to be true to myself. And if I was just stupid, I was stupid. And I'm going to learn from that. And that's kind of the fun of it. Don't retire. Don't stop growing. Don't stop learning. Don't stop thinking. There's so much we have to offer. And if we've been able to live long lives, I'm blessed to be 74. We've got so much experience to offer.
Right.
And I want to grow from where I am. I want to be smarter. And I ask all the kids around here, I never make a decision by myself. I vet everything. I talk to anybody and everybody to get their opinion, to get their ideas, so that we can simplify it. Football. I came into the NFL at 21 years old. I played college football. It's a big jump, okay? First 4 exhibition games, I didn't get it. I was struggling. I didn't have it figured out. The game was too fast for me. I said, maybe this is not going to work out for me. And I talked to an older quarterback who played for another team. And I told him, I said, Zeke, I said, I don't think I can get it. I'm struggling here. He says, you'll get it, but you got to keep on struggling. You got to keep on trying and keep on thinking. And I'm not sure that was, but it was interesting that more interesting in his comment was that I offered it up.
Right.
The next game could have been 2 games, but the next game I played, and all of a sudden it slowed down.
He said such a wonderful thing to you as a teacher.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to remember as leaders, right?
Yeah.
He didn't say, you stupid idiot, right? He didn't say, I made a mistake. I put you in here and,
You're in the wrong place.
Wrong place, right? Go wash dishes at a diner. He didn't say that. He said, you'll figure it out. He said, stay in it. Stay with it. He had such faith, and you talked about trust earlier with me. I mean, he had trust in you, and he knew that if you were that he watched you, and he saw in you a goodness, that you were doing a lot of good things, and you have to just stay in it, and it was going to pop, and it popped. There's something between, the trusting in people and encouraging them that you like to talk about, believing in them, and then, boom.
And nothing is easy.
No.
And life has its tough times, right? I say often, when I think I've got it figured out, and I don't think that very often anymore. Used to a lot more than today. Something hits me right in the mouth. Inevitably. Bam! Or if life is going so great, some tragedy happens, right?
Yeah, yep.
Personal, whatever it might be. And that's part of life, and we got to deal with that. And we got to look at it and then move on. Talk to me about that.
Well, no, I have a friend who said he learned just the principle that you're talking about. He said when he got too cocky, life stepped in and reminded him, whatever. So he said one day, and the metaphor he used, he was walking down the street thinking about this great piece of business he just closed and how smart he was. And he was so proud of himself. He was doing one of Attaboys. And all of a sudden, his foot went down, and it was wet cement, and he got cement up to his knee.
Yeah.
And he said, that's what I have to remember. if you get too puffed up about yourself, you're going to fall in the cement and it's going to lock you in place. So, it's.
Well, and I always use, so many of our people that are listening here, they hear all the get-rich-quick schemes, all the silver bullets, come listen to me. I'm going to,
I'll make you a billionaire.
I'll make you a billionaire overnight, da-da-da-da-da. Or in big companies. I work with big companies. They're saying, how do we get more sales? How do we, maybe we ought to go talk to customers. Yeah. And maybe we ought to find out what they want and what we can do for them. Have you ever thought of that?
Yeah.
And that's the great, great entrepreneurs, the Sam Waltons of the world.
Right.
They spent their time out with the customers and the prospects to find out what they wanted, and they evolved.
Right.
What did Steve Jobs do? He said that, we're going to give you things that are useful that you didn't even think were possible.
Right.
And that's exciting.
It is exciting. It is exciting.
And you can think that way too. You need to think that way, and you'll get excited. But if you're sitting there, working 6 days a week and not thinking and just doing, and worrying about your own problems and your own hardships and your own infirmities, then you'll never get there.
So you bring up a really important point, which is about what do we do with our heads? What do we do with our minds? In order to bring the new in, how do we get that new stuff to stimulate us, right?
Yes.
So that we can begin to think when we get hooked on being right. So the article that I wrote you, right? I know.
Love that.
In my book, I talk about being addicted to being right, and I wrote an article for HBR about that, and it went wildfire. It went around the globe, and USA Today called me, and Huffington Post, and everybody I got on TV. But the point was that it resonates with people. We all get addicted to being right. And when that happens, we've closed our brain in, and we're like the guy that was walking down the street, patting himself on the back. We're caught up in our own glory of, finally, I'm an all-A student. Finally, I'm the boss that everybody wants. Finally, I'm going to live in this. So we suck in that joy of being right and being successful. Yeah. But when we do that, we close off the outside world. Yeah. And so if you look at major companies like IBM, thought that they were the best in the world. I had their stock when they were 200, right?
Yeah.
Right? A share. Yeah. And I also had it when it fell down to 40. Yeah. And I lost a lot of money on that one, right? Because I kept IBM, never go out, right?
Never. They were the standard. They were the gold standard.
They were the gold standard, right? Yeah. And they went into now we have to learn again. And they went through what they called a world jam. Do you know about the World Jam process for them? No,
tell me.
Yeah, so what they said is, we're falling apart, we're not who we need to be, and we've lost our whole equity base. We have to transform ourselves. So now there are 350,000 people at IBM they've been in the hardware, the best big box hardware company in the world. Now they have to come up, what are they going to do? That's what they know. They started out by putting up a 36-hour thing on the web with all their employees could give them ideas about what the company could be. You advocate, right? Taking ideas in from the people you talk to. They put them online. And for the first 57 minutes, it was not fun reading that, because it was like IBM is this and IBM is that. Not good things, right? Employees were dumping out and venting because they hadn't been heard before. Nobody asked them to contribute before like this. No? So they're pissed at everybody, and they're saying that, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, somewhere around 57 minutes, when they had an executive meeting to close it down, they decided to wait a little bit more, 3 more minutes, and all of a sudden they start to see ideas floating up into this internet. And they said, I think we've turned the corner. They said, let's let it go for another hour, see what happens. They got, in 36 hours, 1 million ideas. Million ideas, data points of great thinking. And then they had these people go in, and they're computer people, so they pulled out the themes, and there were 19 themes that existed inside of these million data points. And all of a sudden, they started to read. And this was for their employees who they hadn't been listening to, because while they were puffing and feeling good about themselves, right? And they found out that they should be moving into the service business. They found out that they should be reorganizing in different ways and different product lines. If you look at where they were and you look at where they are now, and I don't know all the configurations of IBM, but I mean, they're doing things with working with cities to reinvent the cities of the future. Now, they never did anything like that before. No. They're mashing data to help cities figure out how to combine education with the future of something else. I mean, now that was not what they were doing, but they had the capacity there. They just needed to get a kick in the pants to get over that. So we close down from the outside world when we're getting puffed up and addicted to being right. Yeah.
It's because you become all about me.
It's all about me.
It's all about me.
And I'm so proud.
I'm so proud, and I'm so rich, and I'm bought me a new car, and it's all about me, and I'm getting my hair done a little different way, and I'm
don't I look good? Right.
Go to the sun tanning booth and all the stuff. It's all about me. And That's so right.